So I was looking at Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, or player rankings. It's weird that like these player rankings change so much. Like I think if a lot of these guys talk to NFL people, they hear different things. They change I don't know, maybe they start to think they hear an opinion they respect. They start to think more highly of one guy. I don't know, it's kind of interesting that these player rankings change, because it's like a lot of these media people say that, oh, we've got all the tape on there really shouldn't be a lot of change. We have all the tape on these guys, like, because there's always new mock drafts, after the combine, post NFL combine player rankings. Like, why does a guy running a good 40 time, why does that propel him 10 spots up in the player rankings? Like, it's almost a little hypocritical, I guess. We have all the tape on these guys, yet their rankings change every other day. Their rankings change. One player jumps 10 spots after the combine, or one player jumps all these different spots. The ultimate example, I guess, I'm not trying to say all this to sound like a hater, but like, it's just interesting how these rankings change. Like, the ultimate example was a couple years ago where you had Trayvon Walker shoot all the way at one point in time, like I think after the season, when all the draft rankings start to come out, at one time in like February, he was ranked like the number 30 or 40, I don't know, somewhere not in the top 15, top 20. And then after with the combine and all the NFL people watching his tape, and then they hear at Georgia he was told to just set the point of attack. After NFL people hearing all this, he shot all the way up to the number one player in the draft. So Trayvon Walker was the ultimate example of a guy in the draft, I guess the draft process, the combine process leading up to the draft, the ultimate example of soaring. But guys that you've seen consistently at the top of not just Daniel Jeremiah rankings, but of other rankings, Will Campbell, the offensive tackle from LSU, and Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. I think those guys are really a safe bet. Like, I think if you want to safely bet on two guys that will go in the top 8 of the draft, I would say two guys that will for sure go top 8 in this draft. It's Mason Graham and it's Will Campbell from LSU. Just, those guys, I kind of always I sound like a broken record making this point about some players, but those are guys who, could you argue they may not have elite careers? Like, is Mason Graham going to be, you hear comparisons to, there was like a comparison to Aaron, like, is he going to be like the next Aaron Donald? Is he going to be one of the next great all-time defensive tackles? I don't, because that's what you hope for in a defensive tackle that you take in the top 5. But is he going to become, like, arguably, like, Mason Graham, he might not be an elite player in the NFL, but he's going to be a very good player. And same with Will Campbell. Will Campbell may not become an elite tackle, but you hear that guy talk, seems like a smart guy, very fundamentally sound, just a really good career. Like, he'll be a really good player in the NFL. So I would pencil in those guys are going to go in the top 8. And then, it looks like Will Campbell dropped in Daniel Jeremiah's rankings. I guess I say dropped. I think he had him in the last rankings he put out. He dropped from like 11 to 13. But, so, and then Jalen Walker, another guy. Jalen Walker is going to be a really good NFL football player. And I don't know, like, I keep trying to sound like I'm going to predict these guys' career. I don't know, obviously you can't say how good he's going to be, but that guy just, he was a guy who, sometimes you look at a guy in high school, like high school success obviously is not always a direct correlation with how a guy is going to do in the NFL, but you look at him in high school, he looked like an NFL player playing high school football. Just his body physically, he's a big, muscular dude. Like, his body looked physically ready to play NFL football in high school. And then you look at his college career, the versatility as a dominant edge rusher, a good off-the-ball linebacker. You saw early on he looked like one of the next great Georgia linebackers, and he was a really great Georgia linebacker. So I think Jalen Walker, Jeremiah has him at number 7. I really like Jalen Walker as well. But it is interesting, all these some of the risers in the kind of this post combine in this draft process?